I'd like to talk to you tonight about a concept that is literally one of the greatest impediments that stands between a person and his purpose in life. It stands between a person and all the success and all the beracha that he could have, and he doesn't. And sometimes you wouldn't believe the cause for those failures. And a lot of times when a person wants so much hatzlacha, so much success in life, he turns to Hashem and he says, Hashem, help me, why aren't I succeeding? And you'd be surprised the answer. You'd be surprised how Borei Olam looks back at the person and says, my friend, the sun is shining always. It's you that's wearing the sunglasses. It's coming from you, the problem. I'd like to talk to you tonight about this incredible idea of the I'm not good enough syndrome. And this is something that so many people struggle with. It's something that stands between them and all the beracha, all the hatzlacha, and all the blessings in life. You wouldn't believe where we've seen this as we open up from this past week. So this past week we read this incredible concept, Vayihi Bayom HaShemini, on the 8th day. We know that the number 8 is always Lama'ala Miderech HaTeva. We know that that's a day that very special things take place. This past Shabbat, I was zochet to have the Brit Milah of Baruch Hashem, my 4th grandson. Amen. And it was Vayihi Bayom HaShemini. It was the 8th day of the Milah, which is that incredible day, the day that we literally are raised above all of the people of the world. We're Am Yisrael. That moment, the Brit Milah, that we're Machnis, the new baby, the Brito Shel Abraham Avinu. On this past Shabbat, we read this incredible idea. That on the 8th day of Hakamat HaMishkan, it was there that Aharon HaKohen gets up. And he's coming now to bless the Jewish people with the most amazing beracha of what we know today as Birkat Kohanim. And Aharon HaKohen, I want to say that again. Aharon HaKohen gets up on the 8th day, inauguration of the Mishkan, and he comes to bless the Jewish people. And Aharon HaKohen says the pasuk, listen to these words, Vayisa Aharon et yadav el ha'am, vayivarchem. And he comes to bless them. But the pasuk doesn't stop there. Says the pasuk, Vayered me'asot hachatat. As he came down from doing the korban chatat. Now, is it important to tell me what exactly Aharon was doing a moment ago in order to tell me about the great blessing that he's about to bestow on the Jewish people? Does it really make a difference what he was doing a moment ago in order to tell us what the great beracha that he's about to give the Jewish people at the moment of Hakamat HaMishkan? But yet, if the Torah felt it important to tell you that he was coming down from the Hatat in order to bless the people, that means that there was something about this Korban Chatat that he was coming down from that actually enabled him to be able to bless the people, connected to the great blessing of the Birkat Kohanim that he gave them at the moment of the inauguration of the house of Hashem, the Mishkan. And what is that? And it's from here that Chazal tell us an amazing idea. Aharon HaKohen taught us that if you want to bless the people, you have to be Vayered me'asot hachatat. You have to come down from the sins. You have to come down from seeing bad in people. Let it go. And only then, Vayivarchem, are you able to bless them. Kol zman that you still see the chatat in people, there's no way to really give him beracha. If you want to be able to give him the real beracha, first, you have to be Vayered me'asot chatat. You have to come down from seeing the sins in the people. And only then, vayivarchem, can you bless them with the greatest blessings. If you're still seeing the bad in people, there's no way you can bless them. And this was a message that the Torah gives us through Aharon HaKohen. How Aharon literally had to see the good in the people in such a big way in order to delve on that good, focus on the good, and now I can bless you. Because Kol Zman, I still see in you a hatat. Kol Zman, I still see in you sin. And I still see that this guy still has, in my eyes, issues and problems and troubles of certain sorts of sin. There's no way I can really bless him. And therefore, says Aharon HaKohen, says the Torah, you want to know when vayivarchem? Vayered me'asot chatat. First he came down from the sins of the people. He looked at them as people with no sin. And now, vayivarchem. Now you can bless them. And this is an amazing idea. You know, if you think about it for a minute, this is really the mantra of the Kohanim of Klal Yisrael. And now we know where they got it from. By the Kohanim, they have a very special wording in the blessing of Birkat Kohanim. And that is, that when they come to bless a people, it's not just stam that they're coming to bless, but what is the beracha they make? That they're coming to bless the people, what's the wording? Be'ahava. No? Asher kiddushanu, b'mitzvotav etzivanu, levarech et amo Yisrael be'ahava. Do you know what that means? That means, says the Kohanim, that if you want to give a beracha to a person, you have to have a feel to focus on the ahava and the good of the person. Otherwise, you won't be able to bless him. You will not be able to give over the beracha in the right way. Where did they get this from? You want to know what they got this from? You want to know where the blessing came from? Levarech et amo Yisrael be'ahava. Where did you ever find that ahava would be a prerequisite for blessing? But it's here, on the Hakamat HaMishkan, from the original great Kohen Gadol, Aharon HaKohen. You know how he came and blessed the people? Vayered me'asot hatat. First he came down from the hatat. He came down from their sins. He dropped the sins of the people in his mind and focused on them being kol kulo tov. And that was the moment vayivarchem. Says the Kohanim, we're going to follow suit. When we come to bless the Jewish people, levarech et amo Yisrael be'ahava. Because when we see the ahava, we see only your good. That love of focusing on only good, that I see only good in you, is what gives me the ability to bless you. Otherwise, I cannot give you beracha. If you think about this for a minute, I think this was really the secret behind Aharon HaKohen and his legacy in Am Yisrael as the Ohev Shalom, V'Rodef Shalom. How in the world do you make peace between people if not for the fact that you're going to go to each other and highlight the good of the person that they're going up against in the eyes of the one who they're fighting with? That is the way you make peace. Where he went to a husband and he told the husband, you know, your wife really loves you. And she really wants to get back together. And she says such good things about you. And she feels terrible that the two of you aren't getting along. And then he goes over to the wife and he says, you don't know how much your husband loves you and how much he talks about you good. And she says, really? He talks about me so good? I can't believe it. That's not the way he sounded to me. He says, no, but that was the moment. He was in a moment of a heated moment. He lost himself. But now he really feels terrible. You don't know how good he is, how much he really loves you. So what is he doing in essence? What is he doing? He's getting each one to focus on only the good of the other in order to bring back the ahava with one another so that they can find a certain blessing in their shalom to be able to come back together.
He's allowed to...
Even flex the truth. Correct. That's right. That's right. Even flex the truth to come out with that incredible That incredible totza'ah, that result of an amazing shalom between husband and wife. This was the power of Aharon HaKohen. But he taught us a secret. And in a moment, I know what you guys are thinking. You're thinking, oh, Rabbi, you gave us tonight the Kohen Dirasha. But we're not Kohanim. Yes, we can learn this from Kohanim. But in truth, it's not even that what I came for tonight. I didn't come for tonight just to tell you the greatness of our wonderful Kohanim and how they bless the people by focusing on only their good. That's step one. Because that was the master key that was given to us by Aharon HaKohen in order to show you how to bring out beracha and blessing and hatzlacha in people's lives. You want to bless people, you have to see the good in them. You have to be vayered me'asot chatat. You got to come down from looking at the sins of people and start looking only at the good of the people. Then, boy, can you bless them. Boy, can you go places with them. Boy, can you build them. But you got to focus on their good. But tonight you're going to find out that this is not exclusive to Kohanim. You're going to find out tonight that this is exclusive to anyone who wants to build anyone. That's true for a Rebbe and a student. That's true for a father and a son. And Od Ma'at, we're going to find out that that's even true between a person and himself. If you're still harping on the bad, and you can't let that go, you will not go anywhere in life. Period. You got to get past it. You got to let it go. You know, this is an amazing idea. We saw this already once by the great Yitzchak Avinu. Yitzchak Avinu had a son that he knew good and well, that Esav was a murderer. And here it is, the night of Pesach, the night that he was going to give his son the greatest of the most epic and incredible berachot. And on that night, the night of V'yiten Lecha Elokim, Mital HaShamayim, Mishmanei Haaretz, Rov Dagan V'tirosh, the night of Pesach, the night where all the shefa and all the beracha comes down to the world for the entire year. This morning, when we were learning Masechet Berachot, Be'iyun, and we were doing the sugya of Dalet Amud Bet, of why a person says Ashrei 3 times. Gemara says because of the pasuk Poteach et Yadecha, and we spoke out the 3 keys of Parnasah, which, believe it or not, the 3 keys of Parnasah, Pe Aleph Yud, Samech Aleph Lamed, Chatach is Rashi Tevot, Pesach. It's the night of the 3 keys of Shefa. It's the night of the wealth of the entire year. It's the night that Yitzchak Avinu is going to give the greatest blessings. V'yiten lecha Elokim, Mital HaShamayim, Mishmanei Haaretz, Rov Dagan V'tirosh. And it's on this night of the greatest blessings that he turns to his son Esav, and he tells Esav, go out and catch me a catch. Bring me shnei gedai ezim. Says Rashi, you know why he needed 2? 1 lePesach, Korban Pesach, 1 the Korban Chagiga. Unbelievable. He sends Esav out to hunt, to catch, to bring him back a good catch. Prepare it the way I like it, so that I may eat it and I may be able to bless you. What's going on over here? Rabotai, do you know that Yitzchak Avinu was incredibly wealthy? Do you know who his father was? His father was one of the most wealthiest men in the entire world. Abraham Avinu was one of the wealthiest men in the entire world. Abraham Avinu left over to his son, he bequeathed to his son an incredible fortune of wealth. Yitzchak Avinu had plenty of behemot in the back corral that all he had to do was tell his son, go outside to the backyard, bring me 2 shepselach, bring it over to your mother, and let her prepare it. What's going on here? He had to tell Esav, go out, find me, catch me, hunt me 2 animals, bring them back, prepare him. And we know the whole Maisa. Esav went out to hunt, and the Malachim came, and they delayed him, and delayed him, and delayed him, and ridiculous things happened, and they ran him on a big runaround, buying time for Yaakov Avinu to walk in a Purim costume, dressed up as Esav, as somebody else, in order to get the berachot instead of him, because Magialo. What's going on over here? Why are you sending him out to the wilderness to go hunt when you have plenty of animals in your back corral. Very wealthy man, Yitzchak Avinu. And you know what the answer is? An amazing answer. Yitzchak Avinu had plenty of animals. Take a look what happened. Once Esav left, Yaakov Avinu comes in, Rivka comes up to Yaakov and says, quickly, my son, go inside and grab the berachot, because Klal Yisrael needs these berachot. They're the greatest berachot of history. And I'll prepare for you 2 animals the way your father likes it. You know what his mother did? She went out to the back corral, grabbed 2 animals, and prepared it on the spot. It was ready in a few minutes. That's exactly what ended up happening. Yaakov Avinu walked in with the animals of Yitzchak Avinu. And he got the greatest berachot. What was the pshat to send Esav out hunting? And the answer, says Chazal, is an amazing answer. Because Yitzchak Avinu knew that Esav was a murderer. He was a hunter. He was a killer. Says Yitzchak Avinu, how in the world am I going to look my son in the face, who's a murderer and a hunter, and give him the greatest berachot of history? How can I do that? So you know what I got to do? I'm going to take the opportunity of his kochot at this moment, and I'm going to veer and switch his kochot of being a hunter and a killer, and instead I'm going to use it for kibud avim. I'm going to work with this kid. I see what his teva is. I see what his nature is. But I'm going to now channel it towards what it should be being used for kibud avim. So now I'm going to ask him, of course I have plenty of animals in the back. It's not about the animals. Because between me and you, Yitzchak Avinu isn't eating 2 animals in the first place, let alone even that much. The reason why he sent them out to go hunting was to say, my son, I want you to use your talents and your strength for the good. Instead of being a murderer and a hunter and a killer. Instead, I want you to hunt for me. I want you to hunt for kibud avim. I want you to come back with animals for your father's sake, kibud avim, so I can delve on the good in you. Now that I can look at you in a good light and focus on your kibud avim, that's the moment I can give you a blessing. Because kol zman I still see you as a murderer. Kol zman that I still see you as a killer, as a hunter, there's no way I can bless you. Yitzchak Avinu had to do what Aharon HaKohen did. Vayered me'asot hatat. He had to first come down from the sins of his son. And only then, after he stopped focusing on the bad side, and he found the good in him to focus on, then, vayivarchem, now you can bless him. That's an incredible idea. We were just explained, how does a person work with a child? Even a difficult one. You weren't meant to change anybody. The teva of a mensch, of a person, was built in and pre-programmed from the moment they came into this world. Stop trying to change them and begin to try to understand how to reroute them. How to put that energy, how to put those kochot in a direction that you'll finally start using it so you can focus on the good. It's an amazing idea what he did here. But this was the concept. So that I could see only good in my child. And only then can I give him a blessing. Which I think is an amazing idea. And that's why so many times, when we deal with parents, we tell them, focus on the good. In any relationship, even husband and wife, focus on only the good. Make believe that all the other stuff don't exist. Focus on the good, build on the good, and build a relationship. Then you'll have blessing. But if you aren't vayered ma'asot chatat, if you're still holding on to the sins, if you're still holding on to the bad, if you're still holding by the point of, my kid is sometimes good and sometimes not good, you're not going to get anywhere. Your kid is kulo tov. But what do you mean, Rabbi? He's a monster. listen to me. Every child has unbelievable kochot. Our job isn't to change them. Our job is not to reprogram them. Our job is to reposition their strengths to what they should be using it for. Your job is to learn your child, figure out what makes them tick, and channel those kochot to an area of good that finally you could see, kol kulo tov. It's exactly what Yitzchak Avinu did with Esav. Says Yitzchak, I don't need animals. I'm a very wealthy man. I need you to go out and hunt for the right reasons, not for the wrong reasons. I need to pull you away from being a murderer, pull you away from being a killer. Send you off to a direction that you can use those same kochot for kibur avayim. Now I can love you. Now I can focus on your good. Now I can give you the greatest blessings of history. Because I'm focused on your good. I'm focused on your good. It's an unbelievable idea. This goes to show you that when a father deals with a son, the focus, even when he's at a moment that he shows a little anger, but inside it has to be kulo ahava. And this is not an easy tightrope to walk. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. But if it's not kulo ahava, then you have no right. You have no right to destroy this kid. And it will come back to you. It will mamash come back to you. Can I show you something? I think this was an amazing eye-opener. It's a pasuk in last week's parasha. But you didn't see this one coming. You'll find this pasuk in Parashat Shemini at Hamishi. Take a look at the pasuk where the pasuk tells us that Moshe Rabbeinu got upset at Elazar and Itamar b'nei Aharon. Says the pasuk, ve'et tzira hatat, darosh darash Moshe, v'hine soraf, vayiksof, al Elazar ve'al Itamar b'nei Aharon hanotarim lemor. Moshe got upset at Elazar and Itamar, the leftover sons of Aharon, because Nadav and Abihu died, right? These were the leftover sons of Aharon. Moshe got upset at them. Now listen to what happens. Moshe now is about to chastise them. He's about, so to speak, to yell at them. He's about to give them musar. Listen to the words that Moshe Rabbeinu tells the sons of Aharon. Listen to these words. Madua lo achaltem et hatat bimkom hakodesh. Why didn't you eat the hatat in the place of kodesh? Take a look at the Rashi Tevot. Madua lo achaltem et hachatat bimkom hakodesh. You ready for this? Madua lo achaltem mem lamed aleph maleh et hachatat bimkom hakodesh. Rashi Tevot ahava. You hear this? Vayiksof. Moshe was angry. He was upset. But when he came to, so to speak, yell at Elazar v'Itamar, Madua lo achaltem et hachatat bimkom hakodesh. As he's yelling at them, Torah tells us the words he used is Rashi Tevot, Maleh Ahava. Maleh Ahava. Maleh Ahava. If there isn't Maleh Ahava, then you cannot possibly look to get the results of anybody, let alone a child, if you're looking to build them. If you're looking to crush them, you'll crush them. And you'll pay for that price. Because one day, it's going to come back to you to try to put them back together. And at that point, it's not so simple. If possible, it's not so simple. Even Moshe Rabbeinu, listen to this. Moshe Rabbeinu at the moment of Vayiksof. And yet, Rashi Tevot, Madua lo achaltem et hachatat b'makom hakodesh, maleh ahava. Listen to Moshe Rabbeinu. This is an incredible idea. Because if you don't do this, your child will live a life with a very terrible syndrome. It's called, I'm not good enough syndrome. their self-worth, their self-esteem will be shot. And they'll go through life feeling that nothing that they can do is good enough. And therefore, why even try? They have no goals. They don't live for a purpose of anything at all. By them, life is just something to get past. Could you imagine a child like that grows into an adult? Could you imagine the family he's going to build? The whole thing, the whole life is b'diavad. The whole life is just to be yotzeh and move on because there's nothing I can do right. And they believed in that because somebody broke them at a young age, where someone had the opportunity to focus on their only good. And instead they focused on their only not good. And instead of building them to believe in themselves, to want to go out one day and do something great for Klal Yisrael and live the purpose that God put them in this world, just the opposite. They were living a self-proclaimed nightmare. A self-proclaimed nightmare. Could you imagine that? Can you imagine that? I taught in high school for many years. I taught the 11th grade, the 12th grade, and quite a few years I've even taught them together, simultaneously, 11th and 12th grade at the same time. And I want to tell you that there was a certain technique that I did for many years on the very first day of school. The very first day of school, in order to create that bridge between me and the guys, where I still, till today, try to bring out to the Rebbes the incredible concept of being able to reach before you teach. Because today we're living in a society of not like once upon a time. Once upon a time when we were in school, the concept of a respect to a Rebbe was a given. Today there is no givens. Today you have to earn that respect. Whether it's right or wrong is not the point. But there's a mitziut. You have to earn a respect, believe it or not, from the students. And if that's the case, on the first day of the year, I always told my class, guys, the first day, lunch is on me. I'm buying lunch for the whole class. You guys can order from any restaurant you want, anyone who delivers, any kosher restaurant. Lunch today is at 1 o'clock. Here's my credit card. Just get me on the phone when you're ready to close the order. Have him send it in on time. Lunch is on me. Now, at first, the guys were so excited. And that was a great way on the first day to reach him. Because, you know how it is. The best way to reach a guy, the best way to reach his heart is through his stomach. You know that. But there was a deeper understanding to this technique other than just reaching them. And that was that I would literally wait. It's 20 to 1. I'd stop class early on the first day. And I'd say, okay guys, it's time to order. Let's order up lunch. It's like this will get here on time. And I'd let them out 20 minutes early in their seats just to order up the lunch. And I'd watch. The first guy, I turned to him and said, okay, what do you want? And he says, I'm going to go with 2 slices of pizza and a soda. I said, okay, great, good call. Call him up and tell me when you need to pay. I go to the next guy. What are you going for? He says, I'm in the mood for Chinese, Rabbi. I'm going to go for the beef with cashews. I said, oh, very nice. Okay, you got it. We're going with it. I come to the third kid. I'm not sure. I thought I was going to go with pizza, but the Chinese sounds good. But you know what? Maybe I'm in the mood for a deli sandwich. And the kid is going back and forth and back and forth. And he cannot make up his mind for nothing. That's exactly what I wanted to see. This kid has no ability to make a decision. This kid needs help. This kid's confidence is shot, broken by somebody. And the moment he thought he came to a bottom line of one, and then he went back to another, and literally, I would watch the kid until he's done. And then I say, you know what? Think about it. I'll get back to you in a minute. And we go on to the next kid. And in literally an exercise of 10 minutes of figuring out on that first day, if they were able to simply order up lunch, it was a keen technique into seeing where these kids are holding between them and themselves. And I'd walk up and down the rows. And from that first day of ordering lunch, I already understood what every single kid in that class needed. Some kids needed a Rebbe in that class. Some kids needed a father. You wouldn't believe it. And for the rest of the year, it was right on the money. Right on. Kid after kid. The ones that knew what they wanted, I understood these guys need a Rebbe. The guys who couldn't make a decision if their life depended on it. The guy is still going. You have to understand, there were some kids, I went around the entire class of 22 kids, and this guy is still making up his mind. You don't know what world this kid is living in. This kid's scared of his own shadow. He has no backbone. Somebody broke this kid's self-esteem. Somebody told this kid that everything he does is not good. He second guesses everything in life. This boy is Humpty Dumpty that fell to pieces, and somebody got to step up and put him back together again. Do you know how you do that? With a lot of love, with a lot of heart, and a fantastic focus of only good, and seeing the good in this kid and building that good time and time again until you build them up. Vayered me'asota hatat. You got to come down from seeing the bad in people, and then vayivarchem. It's not just a pshat that you could bless them, but you can make them a blessing. You can bring the beracha out from them. But if you're still seeing the bad in the guy, if you're still looking at the kid as someone, and you know what's difficult when it comes to parents, guys? Kol ha-posel b'mumo posel. You know that terminology of Gemara? Kol ha-posel. We had a whole share on this. Kol ha-posel b'mumo posel. You see your own shortcomings in your own children, and it is something that drives parents crazy. Mamasha drives them crazy. The simple terminology of kol ha-posel b'mo posel means that when you see certain characteristics of bad in others, it's because you're probably carrying it yourself. And that's why you're so quick to identify it in others. But I'm telling you the next step. That when a parent sees their own flaws in their own kid, they get more infuriated than the things that the child has that they didn't have, because they're more upset at themselves than they are at the child. And they end up letting out the frustration on the kid. What did the kid do? He got your wonderful side of the family. What did he do? And yet, those children, they become the korbanot of so many families in Klal Yisrael. Says Yitzchak Avinu, I know who my son is. I know Esav is no tzaddik. I know he's a murderer. I know he's a hunter. I know exactly what he's made of. But I also know that even I can channel all that energy and kochot to good. Go out and hunt me a hunt. Catch me a catch. Use your kochot for kibud avayim. Let me see your good side. Let me focus on your good so that I may bless you. Because be'etzem, when you bring that out in a person, you gave them the biggest blessing in the world. You gave them themselves. Now they see who they were meant to be. Now they see their purpose, their mahalach in life. I've seen over the years especially by Ba'alei Teshuvah, that they have a certain something when it comes to their kids, that they're so excited, and also they're so nervous that their kids are not going to be something big and special, that they put the pressure on their children way, way beyond what the kid can handle. You have someone, Ba'alei Teshuvah, who found Judaism later on in life. Suddenly he gets excited to learning. Suddenly he gets excited to Shabbat, Torah, and mitzvot. And he takes that excitement and he expects from his child to be nothing less than the next Gadol Ador, because that's what I always wanted and never had for me. So I'm going to live it now through you. And now the child was placed in a position that they're carrying their own pressures of life and the guilty conscience of their father, who's saying, you got to do this for the both of us. And it's that moment that this child breaks under pressure, and the expectations and the bar is so high. How many guys have told me, Rabbi, I don't know, how much should I push? How much should I push? And I tell every guy, if you're asking that question, it means you already pushed too much. If you're asking that question, you know where that question comes from? That question comes from a father realizing that his kid is buckling on the pressure. But if he's already buckling, that means you push too much. Stop. Stop pushing. He's a kid. Stop pushing. Yeah, but I want him to be what I never was. Yes, you want him to be what you never was? Pray. Daven. And give him the confidence that one day he can be what you never was. Build him up. Focus on his good. Tell him how wonderful of kochot that he has. Talk it into him. I know a certain father, listen to this, that his son was born not too bright. And he saw it already from a young age. You know what this father did? Day and night he told this kid how brilliant the kid is. Day and night. Day and night. He says, I can see you're a brilliant kid. I can see you're a great kid. I can see that Hashem blessed you with a memory. He got the kid to believe in it. Although Ba'etzem it wasn't there. But when he put those seeds and planted a certain confidence, the kid himself started to believe that he's really smart. And that he has a great memory. And the kid started relying on his memory. And the kid started feeling a confidence that he could succeed in areas that you need to be smart. And he pushed. And this kid became an incredible success. When Ba'etzem he started out with nothing, or not much. We can mold them. But the molding starts with an absolute focus on their kochot of good. Take a look, Yitzchak Avinu Esav. Take a look at so many fathers that built their children instead of breaking them. The real Rebbe is the Rebbe that's able to see only good in the kids that he's teaching. And he's able to zero in on that good. He's able to channel that good to the kochot of what these boys have to offer. And he's able to build and build and build on that good to make out of them something magnificent. But if the Rebbe is still a guy that's holding in the infancy of teaching, where he still believes that today's generation, teaching is about dispensing information instead of building people, if he's still holding in that era, that he thinks it's all about, I'm going to walk in and I'm going to say over a share and I'm going to give it the way I heard it, and I demand and expect that they're going to be with me the way I was with my Rebbes 50 years ago. Oof, does he have something coming? Does he have a surprise coming? Does he have a surprise coming? There has to be a yachas. There has to be a Rebbe that can be able to reach before he teaches, to be able to zero in and see what makes this kid tick. Of course, don't get me wrong, there are many wonderful boys in the class that they don't even need this. But those boys, you could put them in an Ezrat Nashim or a Chavrusa, and they'll learn also. It's the guy that can't learn, who needs a real Rebbe. He needs someone who knows the mafteach, that's able to take the skeleton key and open up the heart of a boy who's been challenged and has difficulty learning. And he turned him on to learning. That's a real Rebbe. To just go in and give over information. I mean, it's great. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, what did you do for the kid who couldn't take that information at first? You just pushed him to the back of the room. You made a peace treaty with him. I won't bother you. You don't bother me. 4 kids in the class are learning, and the rest are vegetating in the back of the room. Now, I'm not saying to do this, but I'm just explaining to you how the job was to turn on a boy of learning. That was the job. Not just to teach. And to do that, you have to be able to vayered me'asot hatat. You have to really see them for the good. You have to love people. You have to believe in people. You have to mamish put your eye to the good of a student or a son, for that matter. Hashem says, I didn't give you a choice of what child to choose. I gave you that child. I asked you only to mold him. Remember that. Hashem says, you weren't the one that picked the cards. I dealt you your hand, and I asked you to play the hand that you were dealt. This is what I gave you. This is what you work with. Don't come to ta'anot, to Shammai. Why did you give me this kid? You know how many families, especially large families, 4, 5, 6 children. 5 of them are one way, and 2 of them are what they call the black sheep of the family. These are the 2 knockers in the family. The 2 that has, that they have, a lot of energy, and they keep everybody else on their toes. And sometimes you have parents, these 4, they're gems, they go to school, yeshiva, valedictorians. These other 2, I don't know where they came from. I don't know where they, is that the way you talk about your kids? And I know they're joking, I know. And then they get bigger jokes. The husband turns to the wife, it's from your side of the family. And she, your side of the husband. Okay, very funny. Very funny. But, do you know what you just did to those 2 kids? They'll remind you one day what you just said. They'll remind you. And you want to know what's funny? I know of such a family. I know of such a family where most of the children were mitsuyanim in school. And they had 2 kids who were bichlal not. They just couldn't sit. They couldn't. 2 kids that were bouncing off the walls. And all the kids grew up. And those 2 kids bouncing off the walls became extremely wealthy. It's amazing. And the other kids, they're all sitting alone. Those 2 kids are supporting the whole family. Could you imagine? That's because there was a smart father in that family. He never ostracized those 2 kids. He said, Baruch Hashem, the Eibishter gave me a wonderful family of different wonderful children. This one's going to be this one's going to be that. They're all going to be great. One will be Yisachar, the other one will be Zevulun, but they're all great. That father ended up getting Yisachar and Zevulun instead of getting Yaakov and Esav. It's up to you. It's up to you. Who do you want? Yaakov, Esav? Yisachar, Zevulun. Who do you want? Says Borei Olam, it's up to you. If you focus on their good, you'll build them. Vayered me'asot chatat, you'll be able to drop the bad. You'll see them for good. Vayivarchem, you'll get blessing from them, each in his own channel. But if you can't do that, oy vey, not only are you destroying them, but they will come back to remind you and to haunt you. And I see this every day of the week, Rabbatai. Forgive me for talking this openly. But it hurts to see it. Such good families come down from seeing the bad in people. So now, till now we were talking about this concept of a person and how he affects others, a Rebbe to a Talmid, a father to a son, the Kohanim. Levarech et amo Yisrael be'ahava. If I want to bless them, it has to be be'ahava, Aharon. It has to be be'ahava. I heard from Rabbi Farchi a beautiful pshat. He's a very close friend of mine. Very close friend. We grew up together. A lot of stories together. He told me a beautiful pshat. He told me over at Tiferet Shlomo. Beautiful pshat. Tiferet Shlomo says, my friend, this is not just when it comes to one person influencing, building, or breaking someone else. But this is extremely so when it comes to you and yourself. If you can't vayered me'asot chatat, if you can't let your mistakes go in life, you'll never get to vayivarachem. You'll never get there. You'll always second guess yourself. You'll live with that syndrome of I'm not good enough. And guess what? That's exactly where the Yetzer Hara wants you. Exactly where he wants you. Because the minute you step up to do something good, the minute you want to do something great, you step up to do an amazing mitzvah, what does the Yetzer Hara jump in and tell you? 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 Who do you think you are? Come on, who are you joking? Who are you kidding? Come on, I know that you know that I know that you know that we know what went down last week. We know what down midwinter vacation. We know what happened last summer. Come on, who are you joking? Who are you joking? You are going to do something like that? Come on, you're a faker. You're a two-face. This is the guy talking to himself. And after he totally smashed himself down through the words of Yetzer Hara, he'll never get to do mitzvot due to the holding on to the averot. Says the Tiferet Shlomo, I have a new beautiful pshat in the concept of en ma'avirin al ha-mitzvot. The simple pshat is that we don't pass by mitzvot. But he says a new pshat, en ma'avirin al ha-mitzvot. Ma'avirin is milashon avera. Don't put your averot on your mitzvot. Don't let your mitzvot pass by due to your averot. En ma'avirin ala mitzvot. Stop putting your averot on your mitzvot. Every time you want to get up to do something good, all of a sudden there's this barrage of averot memories that smash you down to pieces. Let it go. Vayered me'asot chatat. Come down from the sins. Let it be. Only then vayivarachem. Only then could you accomplish. Only then can you come to great mitzvot. Otherwise, you're still being tovel b'sheretz biyado. Imagine that. Tovel b'sheretz biyado. En ma'avirin ala mitzvot. Stop throwing your averot on your mitzvot. Let it go. Start chadash. Close that chapter. That's it. That's not me anymore. Stand up for yourself. Between the battle of you and yourself, stand up for yourself. Borei Olam was ready to shelve that long ago. Why are you still poking at it? Why are you still giving that oxygen? Let it go. Amazing. By us in the family, we had a pshat that me and my brothers would say over for many years. The concept of sur merav asetov. Sur merav asetov. The Pashup pshat is that it's a seder of step by step. First, sur merav. Stop doing the bad. Then, asetov. No, we have a new pshat. That's the Pashup pshat, no question. But we have a drush. Sur merah. You want to know how? You want to know how? Aseh tov. Let it go, for heaven's sake. Sur merah. Let it go. Al yedei what? Start doing good. Pick yourself up. Go out there. Start a new life. Start doing good. Stop knocking yourself down. Stop telling yourself you're not good enough. The only way to drop all that is to get yourself back up and start doing good and start digging a new channel in your brain. A new mahalach. I can do this. Borei Olam is with me. He's helping me. He's going to help me to get back up on my feet. Hashem never closes the door in front of someone who wants to put themselves back on a good mahalach, on a good path. That's the whole concept of teshuvah. Teshuvah means to return back to the real you, to the real self, the good you. The only way to do that is to drop all that baggage. Just put it away. Borei Olam is ready to put it away. You're the one that's still poking at it. What's up? Let it go. Sur Merah, you know how? Aseh Tov. Do good, do more good, do more good. And you'll see that all the bad that was on your shoulders of once upon a time will just dissipate and wither away. Just let it go. Because if you do good, you'll be good. Ay. You know, they came to the great Reb Chaim Kanievsky, Zechet Tzadik L'Bracha, and everyone is talking about the Chavot, the famous Chavot of Reb Chaim. He put out a Sefer on a Seder Halimud, and everyone talks about the amazing Chavot. He'd get up in the middle of the night, and he would learn until Vatikin, and that was the time that he would be mashlim his Chavot. And we're talking about finishing Shas, Bavli, and Yerushalmi, and Tosefta, and Sifri, and Sifra, and Torah Kohanim, and Rambam, and Mishnah Berurah. I mean, it's unbelievable. Zohar. And he would make a Siyum HaKol Torah Kula every year on Erev Pesach. I mean, we all know, we've heard this already, something amazing, with the Yayin. It's unbelievable. Siyum HaKol Torah Kula. Yeah, that's why they called him the Sar HaTorah. But they asked Reb Chaim once, when did you start these chavot? When did you start this incredible regimen of learning, of finishing Kol HaTorah Kula every year on Erev Pesach? And he said he started when he was 16 years old. And then he said the great Reb Chaim Kanievsky, Zechet Tzadik L'Bracha, he says, when I first started, I tried it the first time, and I couldn't. He says, but I didn't give up. I tried it the second year, and again I couldn't. But he didn't give up. He tried it the third year, and finally the third year, he started to live up to these chavot and this regimen of learning, and he started making the siyum on Erev Pesach from that point. Could you imagine if could you imagine if that voice would have came to his head and said, no, Reb Chaim, come on. You tried last year, it didn't work. Are you kidding? Been there, done that. Genug. Why are you knocking yourself out? Finish Mishnayot. Finish a quarter. It's already good enough. Who are you kidding? You're not holding there. No, I'm holding there. I just didn't get there yet. But I'm holding there. I'm a Shas Yid. I just didn't get there yet. But I am be'etzem a Shas Yid. That's what he told himself. Could you imagine if he would have fell for that rhetoric of I'm not good enough? Do you know what we would have lost today? We would never have had a Sar HaTorah. We would never have had an Urim V'Tumim. We would never have had a Gadol Ador. Because Reb Chaim did not fall for the I'm not good enough rhetoric. But he said, no! Hashem's going to help me. I can do this. And although I failed the first time, and I failed the second time, but I'm going to make it. And sure enough, Baruch Hashem for us, let alone for him, he didn't give up. And he made it. And he went on to be in the Gadol Ador, the Sar HaTorah of Klal Yisrael. It's unbelievable. I was on the phone today with my Rebbe, and he was talking to me about this concept. About a mensch that starts his life today. And he let go of everything of the past. Ki'ilu shenolad hayom. And he starts from the moment of now. And he stops, and he sits in the quiet room, and he says, Abba, Eibishter, ani bayadayim shelcha. You know my heart. You know how much I love you. You know how much I want to do good. You know how much I want to live with purpose and direction in life. I know you sent me here for a mission. I know you sent me here for a purpose. Yancheni b'magle tzedek l'man shimcha gadol. Guide me. Take me by the hand. Lead me in the direction that you know I was meant to do in this world. I am following you. Na'aseh v'nishma. I'm following you. Because I know with your help I can do it. I can do anything. I'm going to stand on your shoulders, Abba. Because standing on your shoulders is standing on the mountains. I can do anything with you. I'm with you. You're with me. You start from now. What do you want to do? I gave a phone call today to a guy by the name of Jaime Dana, who recently came into our kollel. And I said, Jaime, enough. 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 Enough with this thing of we can't do more. We started a kollel. We're learning from 9 to 11 now, every day. The guys that are working less and making so much more money, they still don't know what to do with themselves, but they're learning at the same time. And we do Gemara Be'iyun, Berachot, Rishonim, Aharonim from 9 to 10. And then we do the Bet HaLevi, Bitachon from 10 to 11. And they walk out flying. And I told them at the beginning, I said, guys, but this is not the end game. It's not the end game. We have Be'iyun, we have Musar, we have to do Shmirat HaLashon. I said, but we still need Bikiyut. We need Bikiyut. We need to see Shas. I want this to be not a millionaire's kollel. That's not what I want. Right now, that's what it is. But I want it to be a Shas kollel. You see all those ads all over the place, Shas Yidden? Why not us? Why not us? I said, I had enough already with this feeling of that we can't do more. We can. I said, Chaim, tomorrow, I'm telling one of the guys to put on the chat tonight, that tomorrow, kol dichvin yetev yechol. No one's obligated. Obligated. This was never about obligation. They didn't have to come in the first place. Everything here was only from them. 9 to 11 was their potent, like they say. I said, tomorrow, at 11:15, we're doing 2 blat Gemara. Yeah, we're doing 2 blat Gemara. And instead of leaving 11:15, we're going to leave at 12:15, 12:20. And he laughed, and I laughed, and I said, so you're on. I said, because we'll never become a Sad HaTorah, just sitting back and saying what we're doing is good enough. It's not good enough. This is the right time to say, I'm better than that, and therefore this is not good enough. Because I'm good enough. I'm good enough to be bigger. And I live once. And because I live once, and I'm in the precious moment that's called life with opportunity, and I'm never going to get this opportunity again, I'm going to take it for everything that I can. I need to finish us. I need to be a Bardeya, a real Ben Torah. I want to be a Shas Yid. Chaim Kanievsky, Sar HaTorah. He was a Sar HaTorah, but at least it should inspire me to be a Shas Yid. What's stopping you? What's stopping you? Why can't you do 2 blot a day? Why not? Who told you you can't? Who told you you can't? You told you you can't. That's the only reason why you're not. But if you step up now, I told him, we're doing it tomorrow. Stop thinking so much. Believe in what we can do and let's do it. We're going to go on to finishing Shas. And he said to me, Rabbi, I'm with you. Just tell Teddy to put it on the chat. Let the guys know whoever's staying is staying. That's it. 2 blot. In another month or 2, we'll finish Berachot. And we'll move on to finishing Moed. And you'll see that this is going to be something powerful. We start a Shas Kollel with guys that were working. Imagine that. Chutzpah. Yeah, we have a chutzpah. But it's with chutzpah that you get to greatness. You have to want it. You have to want it. My Rebbe told me today this Maisa. He says that there was a younger man. There was a man in Kolel who was from Kiryat Gat. He traveled to Yerushalayim to be Menachem Avelim on a family that he knew that Lo Aleinu Lo Aleichem had a loss. So he travels all the way from Kiryat Gat, all the way early in the morning, like right after davening, He runs out of shul, jumps on the bus, comes all the way to Jerusalem, which is a good, whatever it was, hour and a half, whatever it is from Kiryat Gat to Yerushalayim. He comes to Yerushalayim. He's about to walk into the house of Nichum Avelim, and his phone rings. He picks up the phone, and it's his father. His father is calling him from Ramat Gan on the outside of Tel Aviv. And his dad says to him, Shlomi, where are you? He says, Tata, I'm on my way to Nichum Avelim. Now he thought that his son was in the area of Kiryat Gat, where he lives. He didn't tell him he was in Jerusalem, hours away. So he says, Shlomo, listen to me. You got to get here now. Jump on a bus and get to Ramat Gan now. He says, why, Tata, is everything okay? He says, I'm on my way to the Kupat Cholim. There's a big meeting there. They have a few big people there. They're going to decide whether they're going to give me coverage, whether they're going to allow me to do the operation, whether they're going to allow me to get the medical coverage that I need for my health. I need you there with me. It's hard for me to travel. It's hard for me to talk. I need you to be there with me. He says, okay, Tata, no problem. I'm coming. He hangs up. He walks into the house. He says, Tenachamu min hashamayim, right? The Ashkenazim, the word hamakom yirachem echem, right? They say it. He turns around. He says, I'm sorry. I just got an emergency call my father. I got to leave. He turns around and he leaves. He jumps back on a bus. This time to Ramat Gan. He's traveling out to Ramat Gan. It's another hour and whatever it was. He gets to Ramat Gan. He's about to jump into a taxi to go to his father. His phone rings. His father calls, Shlomo! Baruch Hashem. I ended up going over there. I couldn't wait too much longer, but the meeting went really well. So I'm out. I'm calm now. I'm better. I'm going home. I don't really need you now. He says, okay, Tata, I was coming, but if you don't need me, you don't need me. So what does he do? He goes now to get a bus to go back to Kiryat Gat, home, back to the town he started his travels. He's going around in circles. He's on his way back to Kiryat Gat. He sees that the bus to Kiryat Gat is not coming for at least another half hour, 45 minutes. So he says to himself, I didn't eat all day. I didn't eat. So he's looking for a chanut, something just to get something kasher with a good hechsher. He's going from one store to another store, trying to find a good hechsher. And he sees one store, the Balabayit doesn't look so Shomer Torah mitzvot, but at least, he had a te'udah that looked like it was a good hechsher. So he comes into the store, and he says to the guy, Slicha, before I order up anything, can I use your bathroom? And the Balachanut says, yeah, no problem. I have a bathroom over here. Go ahead, use it. He says, can I ask you a favor? I'm holding a bag, and I'm not comfortable bringing it into the bathroom. Could I give it to you to watch for me? I'll go into the bathroom. And then when I come out, you'll give it to me. You just keep an eye on my stuff until I come out. Says the Balachanut, no, I'm sorry. I don't want to enter that type of an achrayut. I don't know what you have in the bag. I don't know what... I don't watch people's stuff. Listen, I'm letting you use my bathroom. Go use the bathroom. But I'm not taking your stuff. I'm not watching your stuff. I don't want to take achrayut. He says, okay, listen. I'll tell you what's inside my bag. I have my talet, my tefillin, my koracha. I have my talet, my tefillin inside the bag. I can't bring it into the bathroom. I says, oh... You have talet and tefillin inside the bag? That's why you can't? That I'll take. That I'll watch for you. So he hands him the talet tefillin. The balabayit watches it. He goes to the bathroom. He comes out. When he's done, he walks up to the balabayit. And the balabayit says, hey, let me ask you a favor. Do you mind that once I was already watching you, the talet tefillin, I did you the favor. could you do me a favor? Could you let me put on the talit and tefillin? Maybe I can do the mitzvah of putting it on. The Avrech says, yeah, sure. He says, no, you don't understand. Let me explain to you something. A few months ago, I had an emergency in my life, and it looked very bad. And I told Borei Olam, says the Balachanut, that if he saves me, I will start new. I'll take upon myself the first step to put on talit and tefillin every single day. If he starts new with me, I'll start new with him. I know that I wasn't religious. I know that I wasn't a good boy till now. But let's start new. Let's vayered ma'asot hatat. Let's let it go. I'm ready to start with you, Borei Olam. No, here's my first step. I'm putting on talit tefillin every single day. He turns to Avrech and says, I want you to know that for the last few months, I did not miss one day of talit and tefillin until today. He says, today I woke up in the morning and there was an emergency. I had to run out and take care of it. I've been running all day ever since, and I was trying to figure out, when am I going to get a quick free moment to somehow or other break away from the craziness that was going on today to keep my word with God. Because we're on a new track. And I told him I'm not going to miss a day. And he says, look what Abba did for me. Instead of me going out to chase a pair of talit tefillin, he brings you into my store and you literally hand it to me. And you ask me, can you please watch me this talit and tefillin? He says, that was the wink from Shamayim that Abba said, I'm with you. Let's start new. Let's start together. The best way to sur meirah is aseh tov. Let it go. Start good. Start digging a new path. Pave a new road. Pick up from there. Because if you're not vayered ma'asot hatat, if you don't come down from the sins, if you don't let them go, if you're still focused on that, you'll never get to Vayivarchem. He turns to the Avrech and he says, look what Hashem did. He was mazmin me, somebody, a malach, he told him. You're a malach. To come, walk in my store, out of nowhere, in a neighborhood that may be not so religious, to ask me to watch your talit and tefillin. I mean, come on. And he turns to me and he says, if you would only know, if you would only know, I was in Yerushalayim from Kiryat Gat, thinking I was going to Nichum Avelim for my father to call me to come to Ramat Gan. And once I get to Ramat Gan, I find out that he didn't need me anymore, and I'm going back now to Kiryat Gat, stuck here for 45 minutes. Borei Olam planted me right here in this store to bring you this talit and tefillin, because the minute you say, Abba, I'm ready. I'm ready, vayered ma'asot chatat. That's the moment that Borei Olam says, if that's the case, vayivarchem. I'm going to show you the beracha that your life is going to take. Thank you for listening.